What is something that your parents did that you swore never to repeat to your own kids? Be unapproachable. Come talk to me anytime about anything. Everything can be fixed. My mom was super liberal with the belt. She was also very religious and very judgmental. But she'd still have the nerve to always be like, "Why don't you talk to me about things?" Willing to bet she also denies any belt beatings too. My dad was very liberal with the belt. Like now in my 30s, I have PTSD from the sounds of him folding the leather belt in one half and snapping it before he beat me. My mother would watch. He'd make me pull down my panties and bend over and essentially beat my vulva. I have a 17-year-old son now, and there's never been anything that he's ever done wrong the whole time he's been growing up, or I though he deserved such abuse. My mother also carried around a paddle and or wooden spoon in her purse, but nowadays she completely denies it. I just can't believe how many people turned a blind eye in the 80s. My son hides things from his mom and waits until he can tell me because she won't respond appropriately. He lost a video game and was lying to her about having lost it, but was so scared that she would find out he was lying. He told me in the car when I picked him up, and I told her I needed to look for something of his that he wanted. All he ended up doing was having it wedged in his game case where he couldn't see it. My 6-year-old was giving himself anxiety because of a stupid Nintendo Switch game because his mom would have belittled and spanked him instead of helping look for it. It breaks my heart. Edit, we're divorced. Edit 2, I'm getting entirely too much advice from what are obviously children, and wanting me to violate court orders or to report spankings as abuse. I'm also sorry some of you feel I'm a bad parent because I can't get sole custody and take away his mother's visitation. The real world is different from Reddit folks. My mom at least had always done this. I would spend an hour looking for something until she got mad and said, "I swear if I find this you're in big trouble." The whole time she would yell at me on how stupid I was till she exploded when she found it, and eventually I would have to apologize, which made her even worse. It may not seem like much, but after a while you learn to hide small and big struggles so she doesn't explode. Edit, I never thought this would gain so much traction. It was honestly just me ranting about a small struggle and was one of my first posts on Reddit. Thank you to all the people telling me that things like that aren't normal. My parents would take things I had left on the counter or in the open, and when I would go back for it and start looking, would interrogate me about where it was until giving it back to me and telling me to keep up with my things hours later. Use them as leverage against the other parent. Abuse them, allow them to be abused by a significant other, abandon them, then return years later once they've grown and try to cause them as much pain as possible for who knows why. I have 4 sons and I genuinely can't imagine doing most of what happened to me to them. Blows my mind. Did your parents battle over who would get to claim you as dependents on their taxes too? Didn't expect to wake up to so many other people with the same experience. That's extremely sad. Oh, this was / a big one for me. I'm so disappointed in it. Mom makes up to 6 figures while dad makes 30,000. Mom asks him for money back on the taxes because she let him have the 3 kids as dependents. So fucked up. I'm 32. When I was 14 my dad shot himself, leaving my mom with 4 kids, 14, 12, 3, and 1. 3 years ago my brother hung himself. He was going to be 18. 1 year ago my mom committed suicide while I was heavily pregnant with my girl. I couldn't fly to her funeral. I have 2 kids, a 4 years old and a 10-month-old. This got longer than I was planning to make it. I've learned never say never in regards to parenting, but I never want to put my kids through what my parents put my siblings and I through. Edit, I never thought my comment would get so much attention. In reading every reply, but I can't respond to all of them. Just know that I am so grateful for the outpouring of love and support you've shown me and those who have lost others to suicide. For those that are thinking of it, you are loved, worthy, and I'm sorry. Please message me if you ever need to talk to someone. Did anyone ever check up on you guys or anything? That's pretty traumatic. Did nobody care? When my dad died my mom put us through therapy. I was mad for a long time, and I think I still am now, so I didn't take well to it. I'm just now coming around to the idea of therapy. My brother's death was sad, but I had a budding family to look after, didn't really confront it like I should have. With my mums. I'm not sure. I'm an adult with my own kids, but still feel like I'd no idea WTF I'm doing in anything. I have my husband who is such a rock in our family. My sister and I are very close due to our age, my littlest brother and I not so much due to age. Tell me I depress them when I confide in them. Sorry, dude. When I came out about it, my mom blamed me and said, "Why are you doing this to me?" Like I made up 10 plus years of depression to get at her or something. It's not a good feeling and I get it. God, yeah. I love my mom, but whenever I tell her how shit I feel, she makes me feel awful for telling her. I always make the mistake of confiding in her and then regret it each time. Redo things they've done because it's not the exact way I would have done it. My mom would refold the laundry or remake my bed. Drove me nuts and made me feel like why even bother trying? I sometimes wonder if I was affected by this same kind of thing. Not exactly the same, but essentially, when I was a kid, my mom would tell me to clean my room and make my bed. I'd do exactly that to the best of my ability, then I'd go get her so she could tell me if I was done. It almost never failed. She'd tell me that my room wasn't clean enough and my bed wasn't made enough. Then I was left to try to figure out what I was missing. I would try straightening things more, then get her again, and she'd tell me the room still wasn't clean enough and the bed not made enough. I would just feel baffled because I had no idea what more I could do before it was enough. I felt like there was some invisible mess that she could see, but somehow I couldn't. I couldn't understand what I was missing, and it would never be explained to me exactly what still needed to be straightened up, or what part of my bed still needed to be made. So now, as an adult, in just about any context, I often have this underlying self-doubt that I am missing something, somehow, and I can't trust myself to know when I've done enough. Minimize anything they pursue. Edit, hey, thanks for the award, that's so kind. My mother would absolutely burn down any dream I had as a kid. Singer? Well, that's nice, but it will never happen. Gymnast? We can't afford that. But she never went without beer, weed, or smokes. I was 12, of course it wasn't gonna happen, but Jesus woman, a little support. Not be affectionate. My mom was very distant and not a physically emotional person with me growing up. I realized that if I have kids, I'd want to read to them, hug them, celebrate their accomplishments. Overall, have them feel comfortable with me to share their thoughts or feelings. Edit, WHOA. Was not expecting any of the comments or upvotes at all. I just post and keep it moving, but you know what? Hugs for all, only if you consent. I enjoyed reading some of the comments so far and will continue. This has been the most affection I've gotten in quarantine, so I hope you're all doing better than I am. My husband expressed one time how his family wasn't a hugger-type family when he grew up, and so he hugs me all the time. When my youngest was little, he is a total man's boy and would get jealous and run in between us, which would lead to the eldest and the dog joining the fun. This has led to hug time, exactly like the Trolls movie. Someone calls hug time, that's it, you drop everything and hug. The dog even knows this statement, face with tears of joy. Edit, mama, not man's, LOL.